You can't choose your family, and you can't choose your board. During my career as a private equity fund manager and then as a non-executive director, I've sat on quite a few boards in my time, and I still sit on several boards today. And I thought what might be interesting would be to share some of my knowledge of how boards work and of some of the characters that keep recurring on boards, whether the boards be in the UK or Italy or the Middle East. You'll often find the same exact characters recurring. And I'm going to show you a few of the characters. The good ones are in blue, the mediocre ones are in yellow, and the dangerous ones are in red. So let's take a look. Let's start with Mrs. Perfect. So this is the ideal of a good board member, somebody who's even-handed, who will express their views and call things the way they see them, not overtly politically correct, not going with the flow, but at the same time trying to get on with all the other board members. And this is really the ideal of what a good board member, good non-executive director should be like. The next type that we find is the heavyweight. And this is somebody who's like a celebrity or a very rich business person or very high profile politician or executive who's joined the board of another company. And so this person may be an excellent board member, but he sometimes has the effect, or he or she sometimes has the effect of intimidating or overwhelming some of the other board members. But if that person plays it right, that's also generally a positive figure and obviously very good for the image of the company. The third type is what we could describe as the grizzled veteran. So this is somebody maybe on the older side, in their 70s perhaps, who's been on many boards and has seen many economic cycles, and at this point in he or her life is not going to bother too much with corporate politics. Is just going to say it the way they see it, and can be quite refreshing and a very good reality check for boards. Now we get on to the yellow series. So we've got the debater. This is somebody who just thinks they can establish their image or their position in the board by having needless debates, because if they stay silent, they're worried they're going to be marginalized, so they choose debates over nothing and waste everybody's time. Another type we find is Miss Positive, somebody who's frightened of any kind of robust discussion, who feels that you should always be friends and hug, and doesn't want to be negative in any way, and as a result of that, avoids discussing any issues which need to be discussed. One of my personal favorites on the irritation scale is Jargon Jim. So Jargon Jim, every single word he says is some management consulting doublespeak, gobbledygook, which nobody can really understand. And I'm not sure that he understands it half the time. And this person is amusing but irritating. Another type you'll find is the frightened rabbit. This is somebody who's been put on the board with a weak mandate, perhaps he's depending on the board position for his status or for some income, and his main consideration is to survive, not to be unpopular with anybody. And so this person spends all their time trying to see which way the wind is blowing so they can blow with the wind. They never offer any opinions that are strong or contrarian, because their objective is to be friends with everybody and not get kicked out. And ultimately, it is very irritating as well. Another type we find is the cafe operator. So this is somebody who's actually quite good, who's got good ideas. Sometimes it might be somebody on the younger side, and they, for some reason, are intimidated or reluctant to express their views in the board meeting. So what they do is they'll contact board members with whom they feel they're more friendly before the board meeting to suggest ideas, and then meet them afterwards. And they'll do it everywhere except at the board meeting. And that's the kind of cafe operator, the term being from the kind of Mediterranean culture of doing business in the cafe rather than in the formal meeting, but that definitely doesn't work in the modern age. Now we get on to the red series, the ones that are positive dysfunctionality on boards. There's Mr. Angry, somebody who's not too bright, got an axe to grind or a chip on their shoulder, and basically argues about trivia and about nothing for endless time, and that sort of gets in the way of a well-functioning board meeting. Another more dangerous one, even more dangerous, is the political animal, and the usual modus operandi of the political animal is to put on a very dark suit, look statesmanlike, say nothing, and then come in right at the end with a knife, stealing the credit, or trying to make themselves look good at the expense of everybody else. Another one is a slick talker, somebody who's a good talker, but who's lazy and who never prepares, and their objective is to promote themselves by using what they perceive as their charm and their charisma, but to make up for their lack of preparation. And these people generally, because they don't like to work or be thorough, generally don't have ideas, but they will try and steal other people's ideas from time to time, albeit less than the political animal. Then we have some particular types, like the political appointee, and this will vary in emerging markets. They're more dangerous than in developed markets, and this is somebody who's been appointed to a board by the government or through politics rather than through professionality, perhaps because they're from a political party or they've been selected by a certain group in the government, and they tend to often have not particular interest and limited knowledge of the subject matter, and in emerging markets they may try and have a personal angle for their own personal benefit. Another type we'll find, particularly in emerging markets, but not always, is the oligarch appointee, where one of the major shareholders is a kind of oligarch or some kind of businessman who likes to operate in the shadows for whatever reason, and who likes to not appear on boards themselves, but to put their own straw man. And so the straw man is there to keep an eye on things, to report back to his boss, and he will never properly engage in any kind of board meeting, but tends to run off and make a phone call to get permission on how to vote. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this rundown of the different characters which you'll find on boards, and hopefully for most people you'll find the blue characters with a couple of yellow ones and not too many red ones.